Is Atlanta's OutKast's really that important to hip hop? Not my words. Maja 7's words. I just want to let that be known. So OutKast has been announced that they will be in the 2025 class of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees this November. So without the foundation that was laid by Southern Playlistic Cadillac Music, there would be no OutKast, right? But the bar that they set for themselves and for others helped push not only their own music, but also the entire Southern hip-hop movement forward. First of all, what are your thoughts on OutKast being in the Hall of Fame? Then we'll talk about that others piece.
Don't doubt them, crown them. Yeah, they deserve it. Yeah, they should deserve to be first ballot.
Yeah.
As far as hip-hop goes.
I think as far as musical, period, OutKast their success is so crazy. Especially where they started from, because I can attest being somebody that listened to them from day one on a Christmas album. Like, I can't wait till they actually drop an album, and the album lived up to my expectations or standards that I had as a teenager, and then for them to go on and become as successful as they did. I think are they the only rap group that has a diamond album?
No idea.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
I could be right or wrong, but they have a diamond album. And
doesn't
catalog,
Will Smith have a diamond album?
I think they're the only to win album of the year.
Yeah, they definitely.
No, like a group. They're individuals who have diamond albums.
Yeah. But as a group, yeah. But I mean, their catalog speaks for itself. They really don't have any duds, and sonically they pushed the envelope and pretty much took their influence from A Tribe Called Quest and took it to a whole nother level. So. Yeah, I think it's warranted that they got in on the first ballot.
Because I'm that person that bought every OutKast album. And, probably Southern Playlistic. We talked about buying albums multiple times. That's one of those ones that, I might have worn it out. Somebody might have stole it. And I've had no problem buying it again. I did have to look up the requirements because, a lot of times when we think about Hall of Fame, we think about sports. And you have to be 5 years removed from your last game or whatever, from your retirement. For the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it's 25 years after basically your first full-length LP comes out. Okay. So they deserve it. I think they have a solid body of work, the awards, the respect and the recognition from their peers and, critics to where it is something that they deserve. The only thing is like sometimes I can make arguments other people need to be in.
Before them?
Yes. I feel like almost Tribe and De La should have almost walked in together. I think, and of course, like...
Tribe did get in, though, didn't it?
Tribe's in.
Okay.
Tribe's in. But that's neither here nor there because I shouldn't use that as a reason to take away from what OutKast clearly deserves.
The frustrating thing about me that I feel about it is like... Because I know KRS-One used to say it all the time, like, look, hip-hop deserves their own... Hall of Fame. Like we're giving them hella accolades or whatever, but we're giving them accolades to going into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Like it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and we're happy that they're being accepted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but they're hip hop acts.
I mean, but Rock and Roll Hall of Fame literally accepts all musicians, though. So that's pretty much like the pinnacle. Or your stamp on what you did as a music artist is to be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I get it. I mean, it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But I mean, culturally, they're from the lineage that created rock and roll, if you want to be technical about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then some of those sounds evolved into hip hop. I mean, there's a lot of, 7 degrees of separation that you could point back to why I'm cool with it being the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame versus let's just have a hip hop Hall of Fame. I mean, and you can do that too, but in the same token, I think it from a culture experience for you to be able to go and see all of these great artists in the same exact area that you might, if you're not just in tune to one type of music, that you might want to be introduced to something else. I think it makes sense from that. And I don't think it's a situation to where they would actually change the name of the location just to embrace more musicians.
I don't understand our need to segregate ourselves.
But that would be segregated.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I asked that question, but I don't know. I don't understand why I do that sometimes. You know what I mean? The importance of, look, we have to separate ourselves from that. You know what I mean?
Well, I think, when I say De La Soul should be in, you know, the people who make those decisions as far as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
Probably ain't hip to them like that.
I guarantee you they aren't. You know, like I think, you know, it was a big deal when
I bet they are.
they put
They don't recognize their importance to be on the same level
I mean, I
as
don't,
some
I don't
tribe
know who's
does.
on this panel.
yeah, I mean,
for
like
this,
without
you
knowing
know,
who's, but I just think that,
But if Tribe's getting in, I guarantee you somebody on there knows who De La Soul is.
you know, I think they just added De La Soul's name to like the Gorillaz song. Remember they did this song with the Gorillaz, and it was like, oh, and then it shot up a certain amount of percent just having the attachment. It was like, oh, this is also a De La Soul record, you know, or collaboration, if you will. When you talk about maybe a hip hop award specifically, there are people who, just because of the mainstream nature of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if you will, are just going to be left out. You know, they're not ever going to be recognized. You know, it's going to be hard for like someone to make a case for the Ultramagnetic MCs. You know, who was influential on De La Soul. You know, so I think that's where the argument comes into play. Like maybe we should have our own. One of the things that I thought was dope was when there was the VH1 Hip Hop Honors. You know, there was something where I'm like, okay, this is specifically about hip hop. You know, I don't think Big Daddy Kane is going to make it to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but you know, he was honored through the VH1 Hip Hop Honors.
Well, I mean, BET, the Hip Hop Awards.
I don't know if that counts
that's
at
a
this
little
point. You know, I'm sorry. It is. I mean, like you can barely even get the top people in hip hop to go. You know?
And that's the thing that really frustrates me when it comes to like the award shows that we do for ourselves. You know what I mean? Like they're not important enough. Like people put more
Emphasis.
They put more emphasis and more status on a Grammy as opposed to a Soul Train Award or
an Image Award.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like that's frustrating, man. But
I think part of the reason too has been the actual production of those shows haven't been up to par like they were in the past. Now, like if you think about even the BET Hip Hop Awards, it's
cartoonish.
Yeah, it's not a event that everybody's about to get real fly and go to, and you know what I'm saying. It almost turned into a caricature or parody of what it originally was. Like the only time I usually watch it is to see what the cipher's gonna be. And a lot of the artists,
nothing for quite some time.
Yeah, there's so many artists. So what I can G for is if there was a situation or an award show for artists that are from like the underground or just not as well known artists, there's a lot more good of them than are bad of the ones that are in the mainstream.
An award show, we can put as much stock into it or as little or as much as we want. But as far as OutKast is concerned, not really making music anymore together. They've retired that a long time ago. They've meet the criteria. They're a legendary group from the South, so I don't really see a problem with it in that framing.